Tracy here, and today I am coming at you with a tutorial or a 6-step list to make taking your digital layouts from the computer to paper. So if you know me, you know that I have a deep love for digital scrapbooking. My brain, when I am scrapbooking, thinks in Photoshop most effectively. So today I want to talk about how I take my digital layouts from Photoshop to my paper scrapbooking, because even though I have a deep love for digital scrapbooking, I really love paper scrapbooking too. And I've been doing a lot of paper scrapbooking over the last decade, whereas the decade before I did a lot of digital scrapbooking. But now I have the best of both worlds, and I have these two poolside layouts to show you today how I go from Photoshop to paper in 6 easy steps. Now, this is a not advanced tutorial, but it does build on some assumption that you have some digital skills, you already know how to digital scrapbook, and get this in your photo editing program of choice. If you are new to digital scrapbooking, there are a ton of tutorials on Sweet Shop Designs, and then I've also linked some tutorials in the description box below for some things that might help you get to this point. So without any further ado, let's talk about how I got these out of Photoshop into my cutting software and on paper. My first tip to set yourself up for success when moving from digital to paper is to create your loose cut sheets in your photo editing program, and then use your cutting software to tighten up the spacing. It's sometimes much easier to visualize the cut sheet in the cutting software, and I can often turn 3 cut sheets into 2 by moving things around in Silhouette Studio, saving me paper and cutting time. Now you can see these 2 examples of what the cut sheet looked like in Photoshop versus what it looked like in Silhouette, and how much more I got on the sheet once I could visualize a little bit better what the cutting sheet was going to look like. Got mixed media? Add it directly to your background before printing. I even added these scatters to my photo before printing so that I could have shadows and so that I wouldn't have to worry about placing them individually when it was time to print, let alone printing and cutting them. So for both of these layouts, I have water splashes from the poolside collection. There's journaling on both layouts. And then on this one, I have scatters as well. That allows you to blend. There's some paint blended in here as well. That allows you to blend, add shadows, and make things look a little bit more poppy before you even start scrapbooking. Another thing that you'll want to think about when you are printing and cutting is making multiple copies of one embellishment so that you can create some depth in that embellishment. So I have printed 3 copies of the stars for one layout, the acrylic stars for one layout, and the water balloons for the other, so that I can make them thicker and make them look more like chipboard. So all I'm going to do is just glue them together very simply before I even start. And I'm gonna let them dry. And then I can, if I want to, add glossy accents to these stars to make them look more like acrylic, or even the water balloons too. Although they do have a sticker outline, you can use glossy accents to make them look more realistic. I don't think I'm going to do that for this layout specifically, but I have done it in the past, and there is a tutorial linked on my blog for how to do that. Work smarter, not harder. When you are arranging your paper pieces to be cut for your layout, leave them in the approximate location of where they go on your layout, and then don't take them off your cutting mat until you are ready to place them where they go, because it's really easy to mix up where paper strips go on your layout, especially when they're all different patterns and things like that. So leave them on your cutting mat in the order that they came in, or in the order that, or close to the order that they are on the layout, so that it's easier to place them when it is time to scrapbook your layout. Speaking of, print yourself a reference. So both of these layouts, I just printed them out really quickly on regular printer paper as a reference, so I don't have to keep going back to my computer to reference what the page is supposed to look like. That will make it super easy for me to get them done and looking the way that I want them to look in real life. Last but not least, save yourself ink and paper and cutting space. So all of these papers, all three of these, go from the bottom to the top underneath the photo, but you're never gonna see what's underneath this photo. So I just went ahead and removed everything behind the photo on these papers before I printed them. I gutted behind the photo. So instead of having one long strip of paper, I now have one for the top up here and one for the bottom down here on all three sheets of paper. That saved me a ton of room on my cutting sheets so that I could narrow my cutting sheets down to just 2 rather than wasting a ton of paper. So now that I've got all of that done, I am ready to scrapbook. And look at how good those look. So you can take your digital pages to paper and make them look just as good as they looked digitally. It just requires a little bit of finesse to create your cut sheets and a little bit of little cheats so that you can do it effectively and it looks good in the end. So that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. The link to the blog post for this page is in the description box below, or not this page, this tutorial is in the description box below, as well as any other things I mentioned. All right, thank you.